Welcome to the Practice Squad podcast, episode 15. I am John. I'm joined by my co-host Mark. And Mark, very rare thing that we get to say on this podcast: the Detroit Lions won
Right?
a football game this week.
They
Let's
won.
go.
They were impressive, man. Defense played so much better than they have been. They fought, and I've never seen Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, especially. I've never seen him look like that in general in his career, but especially against Detroit. And that one had to hurt if you're a Packers fan, if you're a fan of Aaron Rodgers, because it was like they were right there. I mean, they could have taken the lead so many different times, but Detroit just kept fighting, man. They never gave up. Backs to the goal line, two interceptions. Some young players stepped up big time, but that's a big time win for Dan Campbell and the Lions. And was it pretty? No. Was it perfect? No, but it's a win.
Yeah,
So
and Packers are probably dead and out of playoff contention, which is a bummer, but it's absolutely crazy. I mean, Aaron Rodgers throwing just as many interceptions in that game as he traditionally does a season, right?
it's
It's
crazy.
not the same over there. They got a lot to figure out. It's definitely nuts, but I'm feeling pretty good about the Lions. Hopefully they can pull out another couple of wins, maybe 4, so I don't have to take the ACT, and we'll see what happens there. So,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of the Lions, right? There was the high expectations, right? I mean, you had Hard Knocks, all the hype. Well, we're excited to announce we got a guest today coming on. Um, Goes by a lot of different nicknames: KP, Peasy, Pimp. It's Kalil Pimpleton, longtime friend, brother of mine, man, from even before college. But here he is, KP, currently with the New York Giants. Was on Hard Knocks. You might recognize him from the Lions. How you doing, brother?
What's up, man? Glad to be here, man. Glad to finally, get back up with you. Think it's been a minute, man.
I know. It's been a long time, man. We've been texting a little bit back and forth. Obviously, Khalil's been busy, pursuing his dreams, man, and making people proud. But Khalil, the Giants, man. Me and John come on this show all the time, and we're like, "Are the Giants for real? The Giants for real?" What is going on, man? What is this? What is the culture like there, man? What is making you guys kind of shock the world?
Man, I mean, first of all, John, thanks for having me on here, bro. It's an honor.
of course, thanks for
Uh,
coming on.
no problem. But man, Fink, bro, I've been around a winning culture, pretty much my whole career. I've seen the bad side. I've seen the losing side, but for the most part, I've been around a winning culture, and that's exactly what it is around here, bro. From the front office to the coaches to the players, it all boils down to attitude, the want to, and execution. And at this point, man, we just playing harder and longer, than the other than the opponent for the most part. And that's what's setting us over the edge, man. The chemistry, that's one of the biggest parts of winning. Having that camaraderie and that chemistry to go out there and do it for one another, and that's exactly what the guys are doing. Week in and week out.
For
So
sure, man.
What was it like kind of building that confidence, right? Because, lots of struggles. NFC East was for a long time just kind of considered like the weakest division in football. And then, you guys kind of went from surprising everybody and nobody kind of thinking it's going to last. And now it's like, oh, like you're leading the division, well, except the Eagles.
Second,
Yeah, you're second in the division. You're kind of crushing it, and now you got a lot more confidence with it. Has that kind of reflected in the team week by week, where it's like, oh, we can beat all these guys, it doesn't matter?
yeah. I think that's what it comes down to. No matter whether it's the Giants or any other 31 other teams, it all comes down to execution. It really doesn't matter. It's really any given Sunday in the league. So
you say that
it,
all the
re-
time on here, man. Any given
it
Sunday.
it's really any given Sunday. And
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, man, as long as we're going out, putting our best foot forward, and fighting to the end, man, we have the opportunity, to go as far as we want.
Peasy, obviously starting your career, we can kind of go through all the way back to the high school through where you're at now, man. If you don't know, Khalil Muskegon High School here in Michigan was an all-star quarterback for them in the veer offense, which if you know anything about football, the veer requires you got to be smart, you got to be athletic, you got to be a leader. And Khalil, I remember trying to stop you at veer camp. John probably remembers like just was really, really just he was everything that you wanted in that spot at quarterback, which led to you to go to Virginia Tech for a year. And then Kalil transferred to Central, where we crossed paths again. I guess it was just in God's plan for me and KP to end up being teammates. And from there, man, you just developed and grew and turned into what you are today. But talk a little bit about your times at Central, man, and going from having to sit out a year and just kind of being ineligible because of the transfer to becoming one of the best players on the team, becoming a leader, and then obviously pursuing a professional career.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, man, I could start where I think it definitely starts from way back when I was a youngin', bro, and just developing the love of the game, the passion for it, and watching it so much and learning so much about it just from watching, and developing that passion, and going up through high school, being in that offense, having the ball in your hand so much really puts confidence in you, and it shows, and to run that offense, the coaches have to trust you, and like you said, you got to be a leader, and so I think it really started little league, went over to middle school, high school. That's when I kind of really started figuring out, like, oh, okay, I think I could do something with this sport. I've always I've loved it. I've always wanted to reach the big leagues, but at this point, I really feel like I really do have a chance to go to Virginia Tech. And compete with those guys who are still there or in the NFL now, doing their thing, and to compete with those guys at a high level, though, because those guys played at a high level. And to transfer to CMU, have to sit out that year. That year was tough. I never sat out a year of football. I've been playing football since I was 4 or 5 years old. And I've never had to sit out a year. So that was really one of the tougher years of my career.
Me and you on the practice squad together.
But we was
scout team.
That was a time, bro. That was a time.
Me and KP were, he was ineligible, so he couldn't play, and I was back on the scout team with him, just trying to give our defense looks, man, and we ripped them up a little bit.
Hey, and we was getting them right every week, every day. We was getting them right, and having you, bro. That, I mean, you already know when it's all said and done, and I'm coaching, bro. I need you. I need you.
And vice versa, man. The second you're done playing, it's a phone call, man.
But having guys like you around that just make the game that much more fun to learn and to go out and practice every day. That's being at CMU, that it re-sparked something in me, because having to go through the time that I went through at Virginia Tech and the year sitting out, it was kind of like 2 years, kind of just like it was just a lull, and to transfer and come back, come closer to home and play at Central, it was exactly what I needed to get that spark and get that love back for the game. Being around guys like you, Cam Cole, Sean Bunny, Corey, being back with Corey, and then that next year, no, it was the same year, getting Drew. So it sparked that love and passion back up for the game, and that want to, and then seeing them go 1-11, and really want to be out there and believing that, you just could have made it 2-10, just from having your presence on the field, and that's where it stemmed from, that year sitting out, getting that love back for the game, and then finally that next season being able to play again. Man, it did something to me, and the rest is history, man. I just kept my foot on the gas, steady building confidence and believing in myself, and keeping my foot on the gas, and the rest is history, man.
It's amazing. And at what point did you make that transition from quarterback to receiver too, and how did you handle that and kind of overcome that adversity?
Yeah, it was I would say, my senior year, we had Ladarius Jefferson, who's a running back for Western Michigan right now. It was me and him at quarterback my senior year. It was his junior year. We would go back and forth. I would get a drive. I would get a couple drives, and then he would come in for a drive. And while he would come in, I would go to slot. Granted, we ran a lot of those motions and pitches and handoffs, but at that time, we were pretty dynamic with the ball in the air, and so we had the chance, the opportunity to really let the ball fly a little bit, and so that's kind of when I really started making that transition. Like, okay, I'm really good with the ball in my hand, but how can you get open, in the slot or as a receiver? And so that's kind of when that transition really started to happen. But with my size and my stature, I wouldn't be playing quarterback in college. So at the end of the season, was really when I started, honing in on my wide receiver craft. Um, and once I got to Virginia Tech, that's when I was fully receiver. And it was a tough transition, just off the simple fact that I'm catching snaps, taking handoffs. I'm not really getting passes thrown to me, but that I'm best I'm best when the ball is in my hand. So this is something that I have to do. I'm not gonna be in the backfield, either blocking, 270-pound guys running at you. So you got to get in this slot and learn how to run routes, learn how to catch the ball, and do what you do after you catch the ball. And so that's when I really started making that transition once I got in college.
When he got John, just to follow up to when he got to Central, like I remember he came to Central. We were like the second he got there, he's hit me up like, "Hey, we're running routes." Like we would get the quarterbacks, we'd have our receivers, and
Yes.
we would work hand drills, man, like constantly, man. Because I played receiver my whole life,
Right.
right?
And
And
Mark's
I've
always
always,
had that mentality too.
yeah,
Always, ever since I've known him.
I've
So
been confident in my hands, right? And Khalil was like, "Bro, like I got to catch like that," and I'm like, so we would work together, man. I'm like, "Well, I have to run routes like you do," and so like we would just like coach each other on the stuff that we're good at, and I mean, it was crazy how much better I got, and then to see how much better he got like through that. And that's what he talks about. Like we used each other to just compete, but also like get better and like take notes on each other's craft. Like,
And
and
to
it was
go into
just we
even and to
complement
go
each
into
other.
even more detail on that, it's just the simple fact of, like, Mark can attest to this. I would be running it's a slant this way, going to my left, sticking off my right foot, going inward to the left. Yeah. Although I'm right-handed, I can catch a one-handed pass easier with my right hand. But going in for that slant with that left hand on top and the right hand on bottom, for some reason it was an issue for me when I had first got to Central, or running slants, period, running digs, coming across that middle. And me and Fink worked it. We worked it so much, and I got a lot better at
Yeah.
it.
For those who don't know, he calls me Fink. Fink was my
Oh, they don't
people.
know that?
People like some people do, but like some people he keeps
oh,
saying
I know
Fink.
Diddley Fink.
Yeah, so Diddley Fink
Yeah,
is my
Diddley Fink.
PlayStation. It's my PlayStation username if you want to add me. Anybody out there listening? But yeah, so they started calling me Fink at CMU, and it just like caught on. So like if he's gonna say Fink, he's just like out of habit. But that's
It
why.
definitely happened, but
So
I want to say Mark.
people are probably like, who is he talking about right now?
Bro,
Who's Fink?
every time I say Fink, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dang, do they tell you him as Fink?
Yeah. So that clears it up. That's what when he says Fink, he's talking about me. That was my nickname um,
I
at
love it.
Central. But
And Khalil, another thing too is that, like, obviously you're just getting to know me, but I feel like I know you because I got to watch you on Hard Knocks for 6 weeks, right? And I guess, like, what was that experience of, like, not only just trying to make it with the team, and you had such, an infectious personality on Hard Knocks, but then you got cameras in your face the entire time. You have to deal with going through cuts, and then you have to find a new team, and you have cameras following you that entire way. Like, what was that experience like? What was kind of your, mentality throughout the entire thing? And just like, staying incredibly positive and having such a like grateful attitude through that entire experience, even though it was like a tough situation overall.
Well, I appreciate it, bro. But I mean, Mark know me, man. Mark know me. Like, nothing about me is fake. Everything I do, I try to do it. First for the man upstairs, but for the benefit of myself. And I believe that I believe in karma. And you know I think in order to avoid karma, you have to put good out into the world. And take everything. Take all of your lessons and you know apply them. And just continue to move forward. Everything, if me, I'm a believer. I have faith in the Lord, and that He orders my steps. And no matter the situation, at the end of the day, what's for me will be for me because of him. And so, no matter the situation that, whatever I was going through in Hard Knocks, it's, or cameras following me, like that's beside the point. Like I've been getting interviewed, having cameras around me since high school. I try not to let that spook me at all. Granted,
the camera loves KP, man. The camera loves you.
I can see why.
John, just so you know, too, KP, like we've had several episodes of this. We've talked about you on other episodes. We had Troy Harrison on a few weeks ago. We talked a lot about you and you as a teammate, why, we weren't even surprised to see Hard Knocks, what happened, right? The whole world was like, oh, this guy's such a positive attitude, such a ball of energy. I was like, dude, that's just who he is. So before Hard Knocks even aired, when I saw it was Detroit,
Mark
I came out, I said, dude, KP's I said, you know how they do an undrafted, whatever? I said, it's going to be Kalil. I guarantee you he gets a ton of time, and he's just contagious with his personality. It's not doing it because of the cameras. This is just who he is, and the cameras find him.
And that was the thing. Like I knew, like, granted it was gonna be on HBO, but I still haven't watched it. Like I still haven't watched it. I don't even know what happened on it. I've seen clips or whatever, but I still don't even know what happened on it. I lived it. Like it was like I just keep either way. Like my life is still gonna go on. Whether I know what happened in the show or don't know what happened in the show, my life is still gonna go on. I went through it. I know exactly what happened. And I know exactly what I told the camera. So I don't think it was necessary for me to watch it. But like I said, nothing about it is fake. Was fake. I just continue to, believe in myself, and I trusted, like I said, trusted in the Lord that something will happen, and it'll all work out for me. And I'm right now I'm still able to live out my dream, in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and playing for the New York Giants. So, but it was a joy. It was a joy, really. It was an experience. Walking into the locker room, and having a note in your locker like, okay, Hard Knocks is gonna mic you up for practice today, or walking in the locker room game day, Hard Knocks is gonna mic you up for the game today, and but that's all it is. You walk in, you see that, okay, and then it's that. There's business to be done. You can't think about
nothing else changes. Yeah,
nothing else changes.
Yeah,
right. That's awesome.
I mean, what you saw, what people saw on there is who Kalil is. Like, he never once was acting out of character. Like, that's just who he is. Like, I was not surprised at anything he said, anything he did, anything of the coaches, players said about him. Nothing surprised me. And if you know Kalil personally, like you saw who he is. Like, there was nothing, like you said, nothing was fake. He's not just saying that. Like, nothing was fake. They did show. I know you probably, the clip that you might have seen is the juggling. I don't know what it is about the juggling, man. Everybody's obsessed about it. Like we talked about this a few episodes ago. Like, this is just something that you just picked up because you were trying to get better at catching the ball. Like, it wasn't like you were trying to do this for fun. Like, you were doing that because you're like, I want to catch the ball better, and my hand and eye coordination needs to be better. What's something I can do to separate myself? And he starts juggling. And I remember when you first started, you were like struggling with it. You had like 2 balls, and all of a sudden, like the next few weeks go on, he's got 3. He's doing he's skipping 1. I'm like, this guy's like becoming like a circus act. Like, he could do this if football doesn't work out. But like, talk about, just like little stuff like that, man. Like, things you find to separate yourself on the field, like juggling, or like some of the agility stuff that you would put me through and on all our other receivers at Central. Like, I know you still do that stuff to this day. Because it's just who you are. But talk about that stuff, the hard work. And for anyone out there, like Kalil, before he even answers this question, I'm not just saying this, the hardest working person in general I've been around, but player especially. And if you ask any teammate at Central, or I'm sure any teammate from Detroit or New York, they'll probably say the same thing. Like, I'm not just saying that. So talk about why you work so hard, and then like the details and like the creative ways that you do work hard to just try to get better at your craft.
Yeah, do you remember, speaking about the juggling, do you remember when we were in practice and we would have those tennis balls and we would be facing one way and we would be throwing it the other way, though?
Yeah, we would do that drill that you learned it at Tech, right?
I learned it at Tech, but it was something that something that we kept doing, though. It's little stuff, it's little things like that, that first of all builds chemistry and camaraderie. second, most of all, it's working on us. You know, we getting in the rhythm. We finding the rhythm to not only, you know, because if you drop it, you know, you messing up the whole thing. So it's really forced. It's really forced. Everybody has to work together. If one person drop it or one person throw the ball off, it messes up the whole rotation.
Or like the drill we did with Barbet, where it's like
the catching.
Me and Kalil would always partner up. Yeah, so we would do a drill where I would put up one hand and Kalil would be on this side of me. He would put his hand together like this. So I'd only have one hand. He would match and create like the mitts with his hand. And if he puts his hand too low and we drop the ball, like you got to work on using. So that was like another drill we did to work on catching the ball, and it's literally a partner drill, just like he's talking about. And I'll post a video of it. You know, when we air this episode for people to see, but like that's the kind of stuff we're talking about, like
but
just little things,
little stuff like that. But it really, I think those types of drills, I think those stemmed from me, first of all, being young and watching the game, seeing all the different ways that guys catch passes, guys make moves, guys get tackled, guys gotta, you know, run their routes. Just looking at the way guys jump, looking at the way guys fall, looking at the way guys, you know, land. Find how much are guys on 1 foot, how much are guys on 2 feet. Looking at all of that stuff, looking at all of those little details within the game, and finding out, okay, if this is how we're gonna come down most of the time, what single leg workouts can I do, you know, to make sure that when I'm coming down the proper way, and I'm coming down landing. I'm not coming down falling or coming down out of control. No, I need to do this, and this to make sure I'm coming down. Okay, within that, what needs to get stronger in my leg for me to come down consistently and healthy? Okay, maybe some ankle proprioception. Maybe I need to work on my ankle strength. Maybe this ankle is a little weaker than this one, so I need to make my ankles even. So I'm going to do this drill to make sure my ankles are stronger and more flexible. Okay, within that, I had a long time ago. What do you call it? Right on the front of your knee.
The meniscus?
Nope.
I know what you're talking about.
Patella. The patellar. Yeah. So I had messed up my patellar. I started doing all these single leg knee workouts to help me, you know, not only treat my patellar, but okay, I'm not able to use my patellar as much as I'm able to use it, you know, as I have been. So what type of drills will I have to do to combat, you know, me not being on my patellar as much? Or when I can't make this move as quick. So what's another move that I can come up with to make this guy miss if I can't? That's how deep I go into it. Like,
I love it.
And it comes down to film. You got to watch that film. Mm-hmm. Looking at the way guys, you know, how to attack leverages. Okay, how one thing Coach Frank taught me or told me was that you should learn how to run every route off every stem. I took that and I ran with it. I find out I want to run this under route. I want to run it with a burst. I want to run it with a stem. I want to run it with a. You just got to go that deep into the game to really take that next step into the game, and to really make you, you know, a step further than the next man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Kalil, like, and also, I mean, you know, just to go with like the hard work and like you talk about the energetic like character, like any time in practice, like someone would score or someone would have a play, like I would score before like even the people that were on the field with me celebrated with me. Kalil would be on the field. I'm like, dude, you were out this play. Like, how are you even, like, how did you beat 10 other dudes to me? Like, and he's jumping all over me. Like, he just like, he wants everybody around him to be so successful. You know, it's just like this unselfish, like he's just like joyful, man. Like he would be as happy as I would, like when I would make a play, like for me.
That's just like amazing attention to detail too, of just like, you know, not only being just a great teammate, but also just being like there in every single moment, turning those probably into like learning experiences for you as well. And you know, as an offensive lineman too, I'm also like really impressed with talking about like getting your feet down and falling right, because that's honestly the thing that's like most crazy to me for receivers is just like their ability to catch a ball and then immediately figure out how to get their feet down and inbounds, before anything else happens, that they make sure that catch counts. Mark was able to send me the clip of that drill. So let me see if I can get that pulled up real quick.
I mean, me and Kalil had this down.
Oh yeah.
Probably not the best definition in the world, but
no, but so as you can
no,
see,
we was
like
killing that.
you have to. I mean, it's just like it forces you to focus on the right part of the ball, and if you can catch it like this, then all like putting that other hand, like Kalil mentioned, like when he first transferred in, he was like, when will I come back across the middle, getting that other hand up is throwing him off, right? Because he's used to catching over the shoulder. So doing stuff like this is just another little thing that we learned, and we would do this stuff all the time, not just during practice. Like we would do this stuff on our own all the time.
Right.
We would bring tennis balls in and do drills. We would do footwork, agility, and I mean it was just constantly trying to get better, and not just for himself, bringing people with him. And like there would be days I'm like, I don't want to do anything right now, and he would be like, yo, we're at the field, 15 minutes, I'm picking you up, or can you pick me up? I'm like, all right.
That's awesome.
You know what
I mean, your rhythm with it, I can see you guys kind of like counting when you guys need to meet on that.
It's that tip of the ball. We just watching that tip of the ball.
Because I'd be telling him, I was like, you better not mess this up. You better not mess it. And he was saying this like, if I messed up,
we challenging each other.
Challenge each other,
man. If you don't want to drop it, that's so like, come on,
for sure.
bro, step up.
Yeah, it forces you to to be the best version of yourself, man.
Man, I missed them times, bro. I missed them times.
If only I could have made it. If only I could have made it to the league, man.
Too slow.
Hey,
damn. Too slow, man. Too slow. Yeah.
Well, great. So you guys are just getting off of a bye week, right? You guys got Texans next week, so you're gonna see your buddy Troy. What's kind of the rest of the season look like for you and this Giants team that might actually make something happen in the playoffs this year?
Yeah, man. For me, it's really just like I said earlier, just one day at a time. And staying patient. Trusting God and having that faith that my time will come, opportunity will come, and when it comes, I won't shy away from it. I'll take full advantage of it. And that's just for me, but for as a team, for me, again, I'm going to continue to help my team be successful and reach our full potential day in and day out. So that we can reach heights that that we didn't even believe that we could reach ourselves. And we just have to continue to trust one another, continue to go out there and execute, win or lose, stay consistent with what we do, and execute, and everything gonna work out.
Love that approach, man. I love that approach. KP, one more question we'll ask. I know you're busy and you got a game to prep for coming off the bye. In all of your, I mean, you talk about people that just love football and have been doing it every day since I don't know how old, probably 3 or 4 years old. What's like your favorite thing, I guess your favorite memory of playing, whether it's a team memory, individual memory, whatever, and also like your biggest realization moment of like, I can really do this. Like I can really make it. Did you realize it when you were already there? Did you realize it at Central, at Tech, at Mesquite? Like your favorite memory and then your realization moment of I really believe. Because dreams eventually become a reality, right? And like you're living a dream, but it's your reality right now. And you still have more things you want to accomplish and bigger dreams to accomplish with that. But there's obviously that moment, like it's like I really think I can do this. And it's not just a dream anymore, like I can do this. Those two things.
Okay. For memory, my favorite memory. Man, I wish I could say one of them championships, bro. I ain't never won one. I wish I could say one of them.
We got close, bro, man.
It would have to be. It would have to be that comeback versus Ball State. It would have to be that comeback versus Ball State. I think. What were we down? We were down almost 20-something points at half.
We were down 20-some points at halftime at Ball State.
Came back out, fumbled the kick return. They got the ball back. Might have kicked another field goal. It was looking pretty bad.
I think we were down 24. I think we were down 24 at the worst. And I think it was a record for Central of tied the largest comeback.
Yep.
And I mean, we just like momentum just like flipped. Like we had, I mean, the energy was dead.
It was
Coaches
over.
were frustrated. Players were like, I mean, because we went in that game and we needed to win that game to stay in atop the division to try to get back to the MAC championship game. Previous year, we were 1-11, as he mentioned. I mean,
Right.
we were underdogs the whole year. No one thought anything of us, and we played pissed off because of that. And we came out and like that's why I think when we realized like we have a chance to go and compete for a championship,
Because if we didn't win that game, it was over. We
it
wouldn't have
was
made the
over.
championship.
We weren't making the
Man,
championship.
we put our head down and went crazy. It was like, and it happened just like that.
It was a
was
swarm
like,
of momentum plays, big catches, interception.
like it just had like we had been up.
And you guys did that at Ball State too, you said? So you just ripped their hearts out in front of all their
that
fans
was one of the
and
best.
family
That was
and
one of the
everything.
most fun post-game celebrations. And I mean, and
It was
KP does like these flips after every win. And I'm like just waiting for him to do his flip because dude, he's just a freak of nature, and he just does like just does this. I mean, he could probably double backflip it without a trampoline. Like it's crazy. And you just wait. You're waiting to see that flip. You're like, dude, let me see the flip. Because that's you've won. You know you've won when you see the flip.
I would say other than Ball State, probably that Western game last year. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Kalil, I'll hype you up because I know you're one of the most humble people. Kalil in that Western game, so that was the first year I was done playing. He was there one more year, and I think it was 3 touchdowns in under 2 minutes that you had under 5 minutes, and individually it was a punt return, a catch, and another punt return. The punt returns were both over 50 yards. I think one was like 75 or 80 yards. And I mean, the score of the game before those 3 touchdowns, wasn't it 0-7? We were losing.
It was 21. It was 14-0.
14-0. We were losing, right? 14-0. Central's losing, and he scores 3 touchdowns in under 5 minutes at the end of the first half to go in with a halftime lead. Just absolutely like individually taking over a game, and that's like, and that was during Maction. Shout out to Maction. It's probably airing right now as we're doing this podcast. Shout out to Maction. That was the whole world watching on ESPN. So, like, if you didn't know his name then, I think scouts and fans of football started to learn about it. And obviously it helped him pursue this dream that he's trying to live right now. And that was definitely something that helped him get recognized. But that was an awesome thing, too, man. I was watching that. I just had gotten back from coaching practice, and I was also the TV put it on. I'm like, shit, we're losing. And then it was like, holy shit. Like, no, we're not. Like, we're not. It's like I was like, this doesn't look good because that's our rival. You know, Western's our rival.
Right.
That's a huge rivalry for us. And yeah, that was awesome.
And I always gotta tell this before you get to the next question. I always gotta tell this about that story. I can remember it being 3rd down and me looking at Ja'Cory and going, bro, I don't care where they kick this ball, I'm returning this ball. I told him, I said, I don't care who in my face, I'm returning. And you can see me, like, I had already told myself, I'm like, bro, I don't care where they kick it. You could see me when it was coming down, like, it was dudes in my face, but I just caught that run and kept going. So I always gotta tell that.
Yeah.
And what was the last question?
Your moment of realization of like you really can pursue your dream and make it a reality.
I feel like I always had that feeling, but I would say my first preseason game as a Detroit Lion. Granted, it was, the preseason, but at the end of the day, I'm in an NFL uniform on an NFL field playing against an NFL opponent, and I say this in the most humblest way. I just felt like I belonged, bro. You know how growing up you get them like, whoo, like I'm like we about to play football. I done shed tears before games. Like my heart done been racing. I done went out there cotton mouth, like mouth dry, like stuttering words. I done did that before. Man, when I tell you the calmest I've ever been in a football game, the calmest I've ever been. I'm talking about I done ran back 3 kicks in 5 minutes or scored 3 times in 5 minutes against my rival team. I was nervous that game, but I'm about to play the Atlanta Falcons, and I don't feel anything but relief. That was my moment of realization.
Like you're here, You got nothing to lose. Like
and no turn, and there was no turning back. That's really. I think that was the biggest thing. Like, there's no turning back now.
It was like you're climbing a mountain your whole life, and you could see the top, and it's just like it's time to enjoy the view, man. Like, let's do it. Like,
that gave me chills just hearing you describe that. Honestly,
bro,
it really did.
And you think that this stuff doesn't just happen to people, man. Like opportunities like Kalil lived and is still living doesn't just happen. Like,
got to work your whole
you can
life
have all the
for it,
talent
literally.
you want. Like, Kalil's one of the most God-given, talented people I've been around, but that doesn't mean that like he's not going to just make it from talent. Nobody, very few people can just make it with talent. Like, he is one of those rare instances that the talent is matched, and actually even he has a harder work ethic than most people that don't have talent. But he has the talent and the work ethic. And I mean, he's undersized. He's been an underdog his whole life, and he's continuing to just push and push. And he won't. He's not going to say no to any opportunity and to get better. And he's showing it, right? He's in the NFL. He's competing, trying to earn more and more of a role. And I tell people all the time, like, I believe in that kid, man. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, I believe in. I told Kalil that when he first signed. I texted him. I said, dude, like, you're gonna make it. You just have to keep your head down and do it. And I'm proud of you, man, as a former teammate, and as a friend, man. But keep doing your thing, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so
bro,
much.
I appreciate you, bro. Hey, go get him. Go get him Friday. Y'all play Saturday or Friday?
We play Friday night. Yeah, he's referring to our Adams game. I'm helping coach high school ball for my dad's team, Rochester Adams. We play at Clarkson
good
Friday.
Team, and we do not talk enough about it on this podcast, honestly.
Yeah.
The
Come
past
on,
2
bro.
years
Y'all
have
don't
been
talk about
lights
that.
out.
We talk about a little bit, but yeah, we talk about NFL, some college stuff. We get guests like you on, but yeah, I mean, we probably should talk a little bit more about that. But
we need to. You're a legend in the making in coaching,
hey,
Mark.
I love
Truly,
it. I love it.
Hey, one day
it's
it's gonna be me and KP on a sideline, coach.
Yes,
man.
Hey,
let's
come
go.
on now. I'm waiting on it.
Well, you got plenty
of
playing. You got plenty of playing left first.
That part.
Once you're done, you give me a call. We'll get this thing going, man.
You already know, man. I appreciate y'all. I really do think, like, it's always good to, first of all, catch up. But, I bought a camera. I bought a camera when I was in Detroit. I bought a GoPro. And that was just to, start just record, whatever. But it was also to, like, get stuff off my chest. If I want to, just talk to something or somebody, I just set up the camera and record and start talking. And that comes with, that comes from being able to talk to friends and people like y'all, you know what I'm saying? And just let it out, and be free and first of all, have a conversation,
Yeah.
And I appreciate y'all for giving me the opportunity and the platform to do that tonight. For real.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on.
We loved having you, man. We'll get you on again somewhere down the road, hopefully after some more Giants wins, maybe some Giants playoff football. But we'll get you back on, man. We're proud of you. We're excited for you. And I'm sure our audience is going to love hearing your story, and we'll be on the lookout for what you're doing in New York now, if they aren't already.
Brother. For sure. Hey, show the family some love for me, bro.
We'll do, man. We'll do.
All right, John.
Peace.
All right, KP.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, like you said, just exact same personality on Hard Knocks, just infectious. Just great attitude to be around. I absolutely loved it. All right. Now, with all those good vibes, now I have to talk about something, which is your predictions from this past week of the NFL, which were atrocious. They were horrible.
I took some risks.
You went 5-8, Mark. 5-8. And again, we don't guess spreads here. We guess money line, and you went 5-8.
I took some risks this week. I'm not gonna lie. I don't look great right here. I have had a few bad weeks in a row. John is starting to get a little bit of an ego.
Yeah,
he's picking a hell of a lot better than I am. But to be fair, there were a lot of kind of surprise games, but I picked the wrong surprise games. There's a lot of surprise wins, but I just was on the wrong side of them.
Yeah, the Oracle strikes again, because I think there's only 1 or 2 weeks you've beat me so far this season. I'm feeling pretty good about it. All right, so I guess we'll just kind of start from the top here. Eagles beat Texans. Texans played a real good first half against them. They looked great. It was also awesome seeing Al Michaels. He said Troy Hairston's name like 3 times. being on the lead blocker there for Pierce. That was really cool. It got me excited. It was a good game. Probably one of the better Thursday night football games that I've seen, even though there's not a whole lot of competition going on there.
It was good to see, John, because obviously you can't take any opponent lightly in the NFL. I mean, like Kalil said, like Troy said a few weeks ago, any given Sunday, like your team can win. And the Eagles, it was good to see them. They didn't take the Texans lightly. The Texans went out there, they competed, they looked really good in the first half, and the Eagles were just the better team when it all comes down to it. But the Eagles, they fought through it, right? It was close. There was no moment of, what are we doing, right? Like we should be winning this game. They just kept working. They made some adjustments at halftime, and they came out on top. They played clean defense. They ran the ball. They threw the ball. The Eagles continue to impress me more and more, and they're going to be tough to beat. You want to talk about teams that might not lose a lot, or maybe again, I was wrong this week with the Bills, but like the Eagles, if you look at their schedule, it's possible to win out.
It is. And look, and I think the Eagles are damn good, and people are, attributing the rest of their schedule as reasons why they're going to be like a not legit undefeated team. There is no such thing as a not legit undefeated team in the NFL.
I mean,
anybody that's saying it has no clue what they're talking about.
It's happened twice in the history of the NFL where a regular season team goes undefeated. So, I mean, come on, like it's the NFL. We're not just talking about some scrub league. Like
exactly. It drives me nuts. It's like, oh, who do they have left? Dallas. It's like, yeah, but you got to remember that any one of these teams can beat any other one of these teams. And we just saw it happen with the Bills and the Jets, and we'll get there. Chargers Falcons was, closer than you wanted it to be. But of course, they're missing their two best receivers. They're very banged up. I'm hoping they can get healthy before playoffs start up, because they're right in the thick of things and they're winning games that they need to win. So good stuff there. Mark, you were so close to being right on the Bears, and I did make fun of you a lot for that pick, and I'm going to keep making fun of you because you were wrong. But they played a lot better of a game than I expected them to be. And maybe this offense is figuring it out. I'm not sure.
Well, Justin Fields, shout out to Cab, came on a few episodes ago. Justin Fields might be their franchise guy, man. And I said it that week that we talked about with Caleb. Like, he looks the part, and he has the ability to maybe be the guy. He rushed for the most yards that quarterbacks rushed in a single game since in the Super Bowl era.
That's crazy. I did not know that.
It was more than Lamar Jackson, more than Michael Vick, more than any of these guys that we've seen, Taysom Hill, any of these guys we've seen run the ball a lot. He rushed for more yards in a single game than any quarterback in the Super Bowl era in one game.
Right. And I've been saying, too, as much as I've been digging on the Bears, like, Fields is not their problem, right? And I feel horrible for Fields because he's trying to prove himself with a horrible offensive line backing for him. No weapons at receiver. Their number one running back hurt. Like, it's not an easy situation for him. And regardless, I still feel like he's showing out and kind of, put in a statement that he's like, hey, I can play ball. And if it's not going to be in Chicago, it can be somewhere else with a better system for sure.
John, what he's doing with his situation around him is very impressive.
Incredibly impressive.
I mean, seriously, like you could name any other guy in the league. You put Josh Allen on that team, Mahomes. It's not a good football team, the Bears. They don't have a lot of weapons. They don't have great coaching. It's not a great culture in Chicago right now. And he's competing with some of the better teams in the league. He's winning some games. I mean, I'm serious. Like when things start to get right in Chicago, if he's still there, like they're going to be a legitimate team for a while once they start to figure out the pieces around him. But the hardest piece to find is always a quarterback. And I think Chicago's found one.
Yeah, and that definitely should give him hope for the future, especially now that, seems like a changing tide in the NFC North. I wouldn't expect the standings to look how they currently do.
That's unbelievable.
Let's put it that way. All right, moving on to Bengals Panthers. Look, the Bengals needed a confidence booster game after, kind of a rough couple of weeks. This was it, and they just completely teed off on the Panthers. I think they scored 3 touchdowns, like in the first.
Well, Joe Mixon, shout out Joe Mixon, fantasy owner. I have him in one of my leagues, dude. I mean, I was like, I was trying to like send text messages, but like I got more notifications from fantasy than I did responses from John on Sunday. Like I text John every Sunday during the day about whatever stuff that happens during the games, and I literally was getting blown up, and I'm like, who's blown? Oh, another touchdown, Joe Mixon. I mean, shout out Joe Mixon.
Most from any running back, or I think he tied it with Kamara because he had 5. Yeah,
5.
So.
Yep. And the Bengals looked really good, man. They came out, play with a purpose. And you could say all you want, they're playing the Panthers. Like, listen, all these NFL teams are legitimate. Okay, the Panthers almost beat the Falcons last week. The Panthers beat the Bucs a few weeks ago. Like, the Bengals came out, made a statement. They had a rough week the previous week against Pittsburgh. They needed a bounce back win. And, to lead us into the next game, when you need a bounce back win against a team that you're better than, you need to seize that opportunity. And you talk about Green Bay and the Lions in our next matchup here. A total missed opportunity for Green Bay, right? I mean, they had the Lions.
Their season's over because of it. Straight up, they're
This is
not
the
going to make
loss.
the playoffs.
We hinted at this last week. If they lose this game, they're dead. And you cannot go into Detroit against that Detroit team. And Aaron Rodgers said this after the game. You can't lose like that to that team. And does it insult Detroit? Sure, right? And Detroit is like, oh, screw that guy. Like, what do you mean that team? We beat you. The Packers should have won this game. They had every opportunity to take several
Lions
leads.
hit. They played like the Lions would play against Green Bay.
They went for it on several fourth downs and goal, 2 interceptions on the goal line, missed field goal. I mean, all kinds of stuff, man, that you just can't have happen in an NFL game. And it was still a winnable game. I mean, we get to the end of the game, Aaron Rodgers driving. I was like, I can't believe that they're somehow going to win this game. They're going to pull this game off and beat the Lions and find a new way to lose a game that they should win. But they didn't. They weren't able to do it. The Lions held on, and you give credit to the Lions. You can discredit the Packers all you want, but at the end of the day, you do have to credit the Lions a little bit. They scored 15 points. Not great offensively. They did enough to limit Rodgers on defense. I wouldn't get too excited as a Detroit fan. They did not look good by any means, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They have not looked good completely on special teams, offense, and defense in one game yet this year. But a win's a win. And it was against a team that they've struggled beating for a long time. You got to give them credit, right?
Here's the narrative I got to come out here with, right? You have Kirby Joseph, 2 interceptions, really impressive bats on a couple ones. I think, like you said, you texted me, I think the bats were even more impressive than the interceptions.
Because those were touchdown-saving plays.
They were incredibly
He misses those
right?
tipped balls that he broke up. I mean, it's a touchdown.
Derek Barnes shut it down on the goal line in that run game. I mean, we know for a fact that tackling A.J. Dillon is not fun, and he did it where it needed to happen several times when they were trying to make it happen in the red zone. And then, Hutchinson had a great game, and I just got to say that Hutchinson, out of all rookie edge rushers, currently leads in sacks, quarterback pressures, quarterback hits. And at least with their defense being horrible, because it is horrible, you got to look at Joseph and Barnes and Hutchinson and Rodrigo, all these guys that Brad Holmes drafted, and think, okay, like maybe our defense can actually get something going here, because all of our young talent that has very little experience is being competitive in these games and making big plays, right? That's what you hope to see, is that, and I've been saying this, right? I don't know about Dan Campbell's future, but Brad Holmes, to me, has been just an absolute knock it out of the park home run when it comes to the past 2 years of drafting. So, yeah. I think it's something to continue to keep an eye on, hopefully third time's the charm. And he just gets a complete team with his guys that he drafted and can continue to just kind of bring that depth where, he's hitting on these 4th, 5th round guys. So,
yeah, you won't change my mind on Campbell being the right fit as the coach for Detroit, but you're absolutely right. I mean, Holmes is the right guy. He's putting together the right pieces. We should be competing for the division this year with our roster. I truly believe that. I think it's obviously a lot of it, I think, falls on the coaching. I don't think Dan Campbell is the right guy for this job. But we already have a roster that can compete. And we're a few added pieces with, good draft picks in this coming year. If the Rams keep losing and if we keep losing, we could be right there next year, in terms of having the right guys. Now, the coach is the big question. I don't know. We saw Indianapolis fired their coach. And, we talk a lot about different expectations of different, franchises. And the Lions, I mean, Dan Campbell has the worst coaching record of any coach in NFL history as a head coach. It is what it is. But he's still coaching another week, and Frank Reich is out in Indianapolis after having a rough start to the season.
But after having, he has a much better record than Dan Campbell, per your comment. And it's tough because my dad brought this to my attention. We were talking about this entire situation. Holmes did not hire Campbell, and Holmes was hired after Campbell. So I'm curious to see what position Holmes is potentially in to relieve Campbell of his duties, if that's the situation. And maybe it's not him. Maybe it's Sheila Ford. And I would hope that she has the vision to not group the performance of both Holmes and Campbell together if she does have to make a firing decision.
Yeah,
And you
I
can
mean,
only hope that that's the case, right?
you're
Because
giving
usually,
credit to someone who's not done a very good job as owner of a franchise. But I hope you're right, dude. I hope you're right, and I agree that
yeah,
Holmes has been really good, and I think with the right coach and a couple added pieces of in terms of roster spots, the Lions are definitely on the right trend. They're on the right
right.
trend, and I think they have a chance. And we jump into this next game of teams that it could be worse. You could be Vegas. You could have all of the pieces. You could sign a Hall of Fame receiver and have him playing with his college quarterback and have
And be
great
up
chemistry.
17-0 in this game, which is the third time they've had
Third time they've
17
had a
plus point
17 or
leads.
yes. And as John said, I mean, that can't happen. I mean, I think that's only happened. I think it was 5 times in the Raiders franchise record ever of losing games with a 17-point lead or more, and they've done it 3 times this season. So that's obviously can't happen. And they're basically dead. I would say they're in that
They're dead.
division.
No, in that
They're
division, they're totally dead. Well, they
so
can't beat the Jaguars. How are they going to beat KC and Chargers and even
right.
Denver for the rest of the
It's
season?
tough. It's tough, and it sucks because the expectations were so high for them. And I still think there's such a talented roster and actually a good
So
football team. I mean,
talented.
one of the games they were up 17 was the Chiefs, dude, who's going to be
Yeah.
a Super Bowl
Oh, I
contending
mean,
team.
honestly, I think it boils down in coaching, right? And I think you and I maybe talked about this. Like, I didn't know how I really felt about not keeping Richie Bisaccia around because
Yeah,
all hell broke loose that last season. You had first round draft picks getting drunk and killing people and being released from the team. You had your head coach, obviously, huge scandal, had to leave. You had horrible injury issues, like literally nightmare season, and this team made the playoffs. Why do you not keep that interim head coach? It makes
yeah,
no sense to me whatsoever. You take a chance on a guy who was, pretty sketchy with his previous, head coaching track record, and you're seeing it happen in real time right now. He just
yeah.
wasn't the right pick. So
Well, you talk about coaching, John, and that leads us into the next game. Indianapolis, like we said, right? They fired their coach. They hired Jeff Saturday, who I've heard a lot of different opinions on this. I think it's crazy to hire someone who's not only never been a head coach, never coached.
It
Period.
is absolutely insane. He has no NFL coaching experience,
None.
no college coaching experience. He has 1 year of high school coaching experience in which the team won 3 games. What?
I mean, this is. I've seen a lot of things, and listen, I love Jeff Saturday. I think he's a smart dude. He was a hell
Very
of a
smart,
player.
great player, great
And I
analyst.
get he's a Colt staple, right? But like, even if they went out and hired Peyton Manning, I would have had questions. Seriously, like Peyton Manning's one of the
Yeah.
smartest players of all time. Even if they hired Peyton Manning as their head coach, I'd be like, dude, he's never coached. And
Yeah.
and as someone who does coach, and I've only been doing it a few years, I cannot imagine trying to go and have any former player just be hired in as a head coach without any experience
You
at all.
literally have more coaching experience than he does, and he is now the
It's
coach of a billion-dollar franchise.
it's
And
unreal, man. And I
Brett
can
Brett
understand why people
Coleman,
are bothered.
oh, definitely. Brett Coleman, who I'm a huge fan of. If you're looking for like really in-depth X and O's kind of content, he's your guy. But he put out kind of like an emergency video today where he's like, we can definitely have a strong conversation about like coaches of color that, that's an opportunity that they won't get because of this decision. But you can even broaden that to just any coach, right? Who when a head coach leaves, all those other coaches' jobs are super insecure. You do not know when you're
Yeah,
going to let go. You do not, and you're going to have to move across the country. You're going to have to
yeah,
take your kids out of school. And instead of getting the opportunity to actually add, interim head coach to their resume and hopefully lock up some decent job security for their future, for their families, they go and get an analyst whose job security is just fine the way it is and bring him in to take that spot instead of all of these
yeah.
deserving coaches, right?
Yeah, John, I'm totally with you. I hate when people want to bring the race thing into it. I just think that there's no place for that. I mean, it's just a stupid thing. I don't think, it doesn't happen. Yes. Is this an example of it? I don't think so. I think this is just a stupid hire in general.
I just think
And
it's
whether
nepotism in general.
black,
That
white,
needs to happen.
it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. This is, there's other guys on that Colt staff right now, white and black, that are more qualified to be hired and probably deserve the chance over Jeff Saturday simply because they're already a part of that team. They're already coaching. And I mean, most times when you fire a coach, you just hire someone, a coordinator or special teams coach.
Right.
You hire them as the head coach. You give them a chance, right? Just like in the Raiders did and had success with, that coach a few years ago.
Right.
Did he end up getting the head coaching job? No, but they gave him a chance. That's the standard thing to do. To go and get somebody who's not in the franchise and bring him in and then have those coaches now coach for him, that's not going to be a winning culture.
Right.
I mean, those
and their
coaches are gonna be
offensive
pissed off.
coordinator's gone. Their head
Yeah.
coach is gone. What are they going to run offensively? I'm sure Jeff Saturday's never thought about that.
Yeah,
in his
who's
life
gonna?
until this past week.
It's a bad situation.
Yeah.
And like you said, I hate the race argument, and you can. There's definitely instances of it, but I don't think this is one of them. I just think that this is a bad hire. They should have hired someone from within or a more qualified coach in general. And I hope it works out for him in Indianapolis, but I don't see it getting any better with that hire.
No, I think it was a boneheaded decision.
Yeah.
Now, look, what did I say, Mark, last week? Is that I think the Bills are playing too cocky.
Yes.
They have too much of an ego. They're acting like they can't lose to anybody. And sure enough, they get humbled by the Jets. And now they have the same record as the Jets, right? And I think, watching this game, like it was Josh Allen feeling like, all right, I can just will this game to be a W, right? I can just be Josh Allen and everything's going to work out. And I just think 2 interceptions, pretty sloppy game from him overall, pretty sloppy game from the offense in general. And sure enough, the Jets are able to squeak by with a win here.
Dude, first of all, shout out to the Jets for getting this win. I mean, this is probably the most impressive win of the season that I've seen, right? And that's all teams. They are young and competing and hungry, and they played a really good game. The Bills came out, like you said, you did call this cocky and kind of, almost just playing arrogant and loose. And, it got them. It bit them again. They did it a little bit against Miami in that loss, and now they lose this one. This is a bad loss in Buffalo. And to make matters worse, there's some Josh Allen injury talk going on. And, I'll find a way to twist this and somehow make it a compliment to Josh Allen because I'm just a freak and I love that guy.
We know, trust me.
He has such a rocket arm, John. He has like a baseball pitcher's injury right now.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Like he has. That's not common in NFL quarterbacks.
Well, apparently, what happened was that he was winding up to make the throw, and the defensive lineman batted his hand and put it in an uncomfortable position, which put strain on that tendon.
Strain on that.
Here. Yeah,
yeah. It's just like it's rare to even see that. But I'll tell you this: if that dude gets Tommy John surgery and restabilizes that arm, he's going to throw the ball another 10 yards when he's healed, and that dude's going to be.
He's just going to have cyborg rocket arm.
Yeah, dude, he's going to be a freak. I mean, he already has one of the best arms I've ever seen in terms of distance and power. If he gets that thing surgically repaired and like a baseball pitcher, he's going to be throwing gas.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be a receiver for him, honestly, because he would break my hand.
Just the balls would come in too.
Dude, it would be so hard to catch. Like he's so not scary stuff for Buffalo for sure. Because I don't know.
Look, they'll be fine. It's just midseason drama for sure. But like, I hope it's a wake up call for them and they realize that they aren't invincible for sure in more ways than one. Vikings Commanders. Look, man. First of all, just seeing Kirk Cousins, who's probably like.
Dude of the week.
Dude of the week, for sure. The most plain bagel, white rice kind of guy on earth. Shirtless with like an 8-pack. I didn't realize that dude was that cut. 50 chains on and sunglasses, just dancing.
They were listening to the new Drake album, which by the way, I don't know if you've listened to, is unbelievable. And then they were also
I like the parts with 21. There's not enough 21 on it. I don't like Drake.
I don't know. I mean, there's a good amount of 21 Savage, but you have to, if you go listen to a few of those songs, John, you can't even deny. I know you're not a Drake fan, but you can't deny the lyrics in some. I know he doesn't write them, but dude, go listen to Middle of the Ocean and tell me that he goes 6 minutes straight.
I'll give it a listen.
Give it a listen. Just trust me. But to make my point, the other song I listened to was Put That Shit On, which was Antonio Brown's song. And like just seeing him and like the team culture, obviously Minnesota is something special. Also, chance to bash on the Lions. Hawkinson is in Minnesota for less than a week and has
had a
the
great
second
game.
most productive game of the season. I mean, obviously, he had that one game that he went off, but like, what are you doing in Detroit, dude? I mean, why were you not utilizing this guy more? He's literally there for less than a week and has more targets, more catches, better route concepts to get him open.
Yeah, he's a stud.
He's a
He's
stud,
such
man.
a
He's gonna
stud.
have a great career in Minnesota. They get the
Trading
job
him
done.
in division is the most frustrating part of it. I understand needing to trade, a tight end that asks for a lot of money away for a draft pick. That's not like a crazy concept to me. And I think that what they got draft pick wise, roughly is what you'd expect. But to let him go in division and have to play against him and game plan for him, I mean, that entire receiving
dumb,
core for the Vikings is disgusting now. Like it is.
Well,
It is
that's the thing is he's going to
disgusting.
have you can't double Hawkinson now. I mean, you have Jefferson and
Because you have to
Thielen on
double
that side.
Jeff and you
Yeah,
gotta double
like
Thielen.
so he's like it's a dream scenario if you're a tight end in that offense, and they
Totally.
utilize their tight ends well.
Yeah.
How about Seattle, John? How about Seattle getting it done? You called this,
They're
I did.
legit. Yeah. Hey,
Geno
but
Smith
look,
and Kenneth Walker. Okay, we saw Kenneth Walker single-handedly take over college football last year. Should have been a Heisman finalist, in my opinion.
absolutely.
Total Heisman snub, and I hate Michigan State. All right, I'll just put it out there, and I'm saying it. He was a Heisman snub. Should have been in the finals for sure. Probably should have been top 2, if not win it. He has come onto the scene, man, and it did not take long. I mean, one guy, Rashad Penny, goes down. He gets his opportunity. Boom. He is a dominant running back. He can do everything that they need him to do.
Yep.
And Geno Smith and the Seattle team are doing things that no one expected them to do, and there is trouble in Arizona.
Yeah. I think Cliff doesn't make it till the end of the season, is my guess.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I'm
Kyler is
surprised
now
he wasn't fired
0-2
this
since
week.
the new Call of Duty dropped. So worth keeping an eye on. Maybe keeping that study clause in the contract.
I'm sure that his KD
necessary.
ratio is above a 2, though.
Right. Yeah, I would say that his KD ratio is 100% better than his current winning ratio in the NFL. For sure.
I bet my life on that.
Oh man! All right, we got to figure out how we can find that out. Somebody's got to know his gamer tag.
Someone's got to play with him. Someone's got to play with
100%.
Kyler. But yeah, in all seriousness, they're in trouble, dude. And the best thing is in-season Hard Knocks is Arizona this year, which I think starts next week.
It does. Yeah.
So they've been this is going to be gold.
And let's not forget too that this team was undefeated through 8 or 9 games last season.
Yeah, I think they started 6-0, 7-0.
Yeah,
or 6-1.
Something like that. They went on a tear last season, and it is just one thing that I love about the NFL is that really any team can either totally put it together and crush it, rise from the ashes and make shit happen, and other teams can completely fall apart in that exact same time frame.
Wow,
and
totally.
I mean, Seahawks Cardinals could not be a more perfect example of that for sure. And everybody was saying the Cardinals were going to be pretty good and the Seahawks were going to be horrible this season, and neither of those predictions panned out. Rams Bucks, close defensive game. I guess I'm happy for Brady that he was able to get a little bit of a confidence boost in, because even though the Rams record is horrible, I don't think they're necessarily a horrible team. I'm happy Matt Stafford got his ring, and I'm just going Rams tank season right now. We want that draft pick as high as we can possibly get it. I'm all about it. So
we're seeing what Matthew Stafford really is. Okay, the Super Bowl season, fluke. That was a super team. Don't give him the credit anymore. This dude's not good. He's not. He's struggling. And when you don't have the absolute best roster in the NFL, this is what you get. This is what you get. They're struggling. And listen, the Bucs didn't look good by any means. They're still struggling heavily. But it was really good to see Tom Brady drive down, have a game-winning, score like this, against a team that beat him last year. That had to feel good for them. It has to maybe send a little bit of momentum in the right direction for Tampa. And I know he's going through a rough time right now with everything in his personal life in all seriousness. So that's probably a huge win for him and for that team to get back.
He looked the most relaxed in that post-game interview that I've seen him
the
on
relief,
camera.
Dude,
yeah,
the relief
seriously.
was there. He comes out just that was effing awesome. It was how he started the interview.
Football cures all, seriously, and winning cures all.
That is true. It does. Football does distract you from some tough times. For
It
sure.
does. I became the crazy NFL fanatic that I am today. I mean, I've always loved the league, but like 2020, right? Just having that NFL season to cling on to. I'm sure you probably have, similar sentiments about that.
Yeah.
Like it was huge. Chiefs, Titans, man, the Titans are just such a hard-nosed team, and they
Mike
can
Vrabel
really.
coached, man. The difference of having that kind of coach.
It's huge. I mean, talk about grit, right? Like I think you said this a few weeks
Yeah,
back. Like that's the
yeah.
Dan Campbell you wish you had,
Wish he
right?
was, yeah.
Because this team lost by 3 points. They honestly should have won because there was a lot of BS on a couple calls, I'd say, that really heavily tipped in KC's favor. And they almost beat KC with a rookie quarterback with hardly any playing experience who did not complete a pass that game. Right. And it's incredible to me that they were able to go into Arrowhead and almost come away with a win with that situation.
Well, Mahomes had 400 yards passing, and they only scored 20 points. I mean, that's you can look at that both ways. You can say the Titans, bend but not break type defense, which is very winnable defense in the NFL, especially against a quarterback like that. Or you could look at and say the Chiefs need to finish their drives. All the stats, all the numbers, all the completions. Doesn't matter if you don't end up with points at the end of a drive. And that is what a little bit of it scares me with Kansas City is, they like to have the big play, they like to take risks. And as they move the ball down the field, because they're going to move the ball, they're a high-powered offense. But when they get in that red zone area close to the end zone and the defense tightens up and there's not as much room for error, they sometimes struggle because of the lack of willing to run the ball. And the Bills kind of do the same thing, believe it or not. So two of the most high-powered teams in the league that people think are contenders have that same flaw where it's like, if Mahomes isn't making plays with his legs in the red zone, I mean, I don't know if they score any points.
Yeah, and like they don't have a true starting running back that they can just,
No,
have him
yeah.
pound it straight into the goal line, super reliably. Like I mean, even the Lions have that, right? Like for the most part, it's just like, oh, we're
Yeah.
in the red zone, hand it off to Jamal, and
Unless you fumble on the one.
Yeah, unless you fumble on the one time that we need
Yeah.
a fucking touchdown. All right, and then Saints Ravens. Look, all I gotta say is that Andy Dalton sucks. They need to bench him. They should have just had Taysom in that entire game. He's an absolute turd. That dude overthrew a bunch of balls. Like, I mean, you would think that this dude has only been playing in the NFL for like a year or two. This dude's a vet. He's been in the system. He knows how this game is played, and he's making boneheaded decisions. He's overthrowing some very talented receivers, even though they're a little bit banged up. He had some atrocious interceptions. I'm super frustrated with it. I would much rather they play Jameis because I think that, the reason they apparently played Dalton is because Jameis wasn't learning the offense at the same rate that that Dalton was, and Dalton was, checking in and out of plays better than Jameis. I don't care. Jameis is a better athlete. I think he's a better passer. I trust that or Taysom way more than I trust Dalton. Incredibly frustrating game to watch. Crazy enough, the Saints are still 2 games out of being first in their division, so they're not out of it yet somehow. But incredibly frustrating. So,
The Red Rocket, man, letting you down in New Orleans.
he's horrible. He's horrible. And I thought
Lamar
we'd get like
Jackson, they actually played Lamar Jackson relatively well too.
they did.
And he did enough to get the job done. But the Ravens sit at a pretty good spot in their division now, having beat the Bengals, and winning last night was really big for them. And they're probably right back with the contenders title. Probably, I mean, they're right there. I mean, if Lamar can put it together, they're a tough team to prepare for, and if they can run the ball on you, they're get an early lead, it's tough to come back on them because they play, pretty good defense and they can keep running the ball.
Absolutely. So that's the week in recap. A lot of interesting headlines. These are kind of the NFL weeks that I love, where like a lot of good games, a lot to talk about in the games, and then on top of it too, like there's the Colts drama, there's all of this other fun stuff going
Totally.
on. So
A lot of college stuff too, John. If we want to talk about that real quick, the rankings just came out. They had Georgia at 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3,
yep.
and TCU 4. So Ohio State, Michigan making their way in there. I mean, Alabama, I think we're not going to see in the playoff after this loss this week to
No,
LSU.
two losses. It can't happen for sure. So go Tigers there. And yeah, I mean, look, I think Georgia's a better team than Tennessee. I was very impressed with how Tennessee's played this season, but just point blank, like Georgia's an NFL team playing in college, and like you can tell by how many people got drafted last year, and they're just deep. They're incredibly athletic. They're incredibly physical. They can get the job done. Like they're the team to beat for sure. Being a Michigan fan, I think Michigan could have gone above Ohio State, but whatever. I'm not gonna.
Hey, they'll have their chance to go above Ohio State when that week comes. And I'll tell you this though,
3 weeks away.
the game is shaping up to be, a top 2 versus 3 matchup, maybe even higher than that.
It's
And
gonna be
that's
awesome.
how Ohio State Michigan's supposed to be. That's what it always was. That's what made it the game. Didn't get that title by coincidence, and it's shaping up to be one of the better matchups in the history of that rivalry. In the Horseshoe in Ohio, Michigan hasn't won in a long time there. Kind of shaping up to be an awesome environment for college football.
Absolutely. And look, while we're on college, I also got to admit, Kalil made a really good point. We have not been talking enough about Adams football on this podcast. And I just have to give a shout out to my co-host, Mark, because, last year they lost in the state championship. This year they had a great regular season. They had an amazing couple of wins, and now they're about to play Clarkston. It's a huge game. Mark, do you have any comments that you want to make just kind of about what this season has been versus your first year coaching, kind of the team that you guys have, how you're feeling going into this matchup, all of that stuff?
I think it's very cool, man. I'm constantly learning. I'm around a really smart coaching staff around me, and it's always fun to be around. And we're all very competitive, and we all have different opinions. But I learn so much, even when I disagree with something. I mean, I learn from it, and I think that really brings the best out of all of us, even when things are debated. I think it just makes our team the best. We always come to the best opportunity to put our team in the best situation to win. We have great kids, and it's always a pleasure coaching them. They make it fun, and they're competitive, and they come out and they know that there's a job to be done every day. And they prepare, and we go to war with them every Friday, and it's awesome, and it's really fun to be a part of. It's a different perspective than playing, but honestly, I don't know how I would have transitioned from playing football my whole life to just nothing. Right. And I mean, the podcast is awesome. I love this too, but I really don't know what I would do if I wasn't involved with my own team somehow, and being able to coach, and especially with my dad and a bunch of guys that used to coach me. Totally awesome. And, we're excited to have a chance to try to win a regional championship against the team that beat us earlier, a very good team. And, I mean, all you can ask for is the opportunity to get revenge and win after losing to them the first time, and have a chance
Right.
to buy a way into the semis.
And I got to ask too, because I remember you at one point saying you think you might like coaching better than playing. And do you feel like you just kind of have a natural knack for it? Do you feel like the way you see the game as a coach is different than the way you see the game as a player? Or do you think that being a player helps inform all those coaching decisions? You can kind of put yourself in those kids' shoes and kind of remember, what it was like being in high school, kind of figuring some of that stuff out.
I think it's a combination of a lot of those things. I obviously loved playing, um, but when it comes to playing, obviously there's so many physical components, right? I think being smart as a player is a huge advantage, but it can only take you so far if you don't have some of the natural God-given physical components. Um, I was gifted with a lot of skill, but not enough skill to like Kalil or any of the other guys we bring on here to go play professionally, right? And so once that dream kind of realized that wasn't going to happen, football came to a halt, out of nowhere, and you just never expect that day to come, and then it comes. And so I got into coaching, talked to my dad about it. He didn't hesitate to bring me on, and now it's just mental, right? It's mental, it's energy, it's being able to communicate what's in your head, and try to make it understandable for kids. And I try to do my best job of that every single day. And I've found that I think I might end up being a better coach than I was a player when it's all said and done. Just because what always made me great as a player was my football IQ and ability to be smarter than other people, right?
Right.
Mixed with some of the skills I had physically.
Incredible routes, great hands. That was, kind of like Mark's
Right.
brand as a player, is that
Yeah.
he was just incredibly reliable. He, always knew where to be, and he always caught the ball. So yeah, that's really awesome to hear. And not revealing any secrets, but Mark definitely has brought a fresh mindset, I think, to the veer that's been getting ran at that high school for 25 years now too. And it's just awesome to see you bringing that fresh perspective. All All right, let's move on to predictions for next week, and then we will wrap this boy up. Falcons Panthers. I'm going to go Falcons.
They just played 2 weeks ago.
They did. I hate how
I
the
don't
scheduling's done
understand.
with this.
Like I just finished my rant about DJ Moore. Like that seems like it was yesterday. I mean, that like
and now they get to try it again.
I don't understand what the NFL is doing here. I mean, that's so weird. I mean, I guess I'm going to go with Carolina. I'm just going to say DJ Moore, don't take your helmet off and maybe you win. Like, I don't know. Like, it's at Carolina. I'm going to go with the Panthers to.
Okay.
That division is so weird. I'm just going to go with the Panthers. I mean, who knows?
It's so weird. Seahawks at Bucks. I have no reason to believe that the Seahawks don't win this one at this point. Like, we doubted them. We were wrong. They're a good team. The Bucks are bad. Let's go Geno Smith and gang.
I'm going to go with the Bucks. Listen, do I love it? No. But if I can't pick Geno Smith over Tom Brady and go to sleep at peace. I can't do it. I know.
Look, maybe with that newfound confidence, like, it's exactly it too. So
yeah, the win last week was what they needed.
This game's overseas, and I don't know if it's in London or Germany. This might be the one that's in Germany, which is awesome. So don't quote me on that, but that would be pretty cool. Excited to wake up early for that one. We got Vikings Bills. This is going to be an awesome game. I do think the Bills will win it. But this is a great test to see how good this Vikings team actually is, right? Is that 7-1 record legit? I think so. I think they have all the pieces they need to win a game like this. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bills too. I don't see them losing back-to-back weeks. I think that cockiness you talked about obviously got slapped out of them against the Jets. They're gonna come ready to go and more humble and ready to go to work. And when they're clicking, they're a tough team. And it's at Buffalo, and matchup-wise, it screams Buffalo to me.
Lions at Bears. I'm going Lions, baby. 2 wins. Back to back. Get some confidence going. Let's go. Right?
John. Justin Fields. Okay. The way he's looked the last few weeks, that is exactly a nightmare for Detroit's defense, because just when you think you're going to have them, you don't have them. I also think you got to remember there's a little bit of a revenge aspect with Hutchinson and him. Okay. There's going to be a little bit of that Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. I don't know, dude. I have to go with the Bears here. I just think that they're better coached. They've looked better. Even though they've lost games, they've looked better than Detroit, especially as of recent. And this is in Chicago. I'm gonna go with Chicago.
All right. Jags at Chiefs. Chiefs for me.
Chiefs, not much to talk about. I mean,
Brown. Sorry, go ahead if you want.
I just think that I think just the Chiefs, they didn't look great last week. They still won, but I think they treat that like a loss. They'll come out ready to go.
For sure. Browns at Dolphins. I'm gonna have to go Dolphins here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dolphins as well. The Browns are such a weird team because they compete with everybody, and they shouldn't be that good with a backup quarterback, but he's doing enough to keep them in games. But I think Miami's able to throw the ball all over them.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think the offensive component is going to be there for the Dolphins, where it's going to be lacking for the Browns. All right, we got the Hairston versus Pimpleton Bowl. I'm gonna go Giants here. But man, I'm excited for this one just because, as we said, like the Texans are a 1-6-1 team, but they played a damn good game against Philly, and I don't think they're a bad team, and they're young and they're trying to get their momentum. I'm excited to see this one actually.
Yeah, it's hard because our 2 guests that we brought on, like I have to pick against one of them, but we had Kalil on this episode, so I have to give a shout out to him. I can't pick against him on the episode that we brought him on. I'm gonna go with the Giants. I do think this one's close. I think the Texans compete the whole game, but I think the Giants, coming off a bye, are just a little bit better prepared and at home are able to get it done.
For sure. Saints at Steelers. I'm going Saints. Gotta happen.
I'm actually going to go the Steelers here.
Of course you are.
And it's in Pittsburgh. I think Mike Tomlin's going to get them ready. I think they're going to play good defense. I don't care who New Orleans lines up at quarterback. Mike Tomlin's going to have his defense ready. And I just don't think that any of those quarterbacks that you have in New Orleans are going to be ready to go and win a game at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, Kenny Pickett is going to throw a lot of picks, and that's my
Probably, but I
prediction.
still think they win.
Broncos at Titans. Look, Titans like hard-nosed, no-quit, gritty attitude versus Broncos hard-nosed defense and snoozer offense. I can tell you this one's going to be a snooze fest.
Totally.
With that said, I'm probably going to go Titans here because
worst matchup of the weekend.
Oh, absolutely. This game should be called the 3-and-out bowl for sure.
This is terrible. Yeah, this is terrible. I'm gonna go with Denver. I don't know why. I just think they're coming off of a bye week as well.
Sure.
And I don't know. I think that they'll come out and just make more plays than Tennessee.
Colts at Raiders. I'm going to go Raiders here because it's at home, and the Colts have literally nobody figuring out what their offense is supposed to be this week.
I'm going to go the Raiders for sure as well. First game. I mean, you saw Jeff Saturday, like before he got hired, he just tweeted how terrible the Raiders are.
Yeah.
You saw that?
Yes, I did. And now he has to go coach against them, and probably
he's going to get his karma. He didn't know at the time it was the wrong thing to do because he didn't know he was going to get hired as head coach. But he still is going to learn a valuable lesson.
No, it's the answer for that for sure. Cowboys at Packers. This is tough just because, like, man, are the Packers really about to lose 6 in a row? But Cowboys are a better team, and they're more equipped, I think, to get this win. And so as much as it pains me to say, and I feel bad for Aaron Rodgers and crew, but I'm going to have to go Cowboys here.
I'm also going to have to pick the Cowboys. I hate it, but I have to pick them. Rodgers struggled with the Lions pass rush and the Lions defense, and it's like one of the worst defenses in the league. I don't know how he's going to do against Dallas's pass rush and Micah Parsons.
Definitely. It's a matchup.
Not to mention they're banged up. Green Bay has a ton of guys out. And, I mean, the receiver one is Allen Lazard, who, no offense to him, he's not a receiver one in the NFL. This is a bad matchup for them. I'm going to go with Dallas.
Cardinals at Rams. I'm going to go Rams here just because the Rams tend to humble the Cardinals in division, and they're playing at SoFi, but it's a tough one. And, man, the Rams do not look like the team they were last year by any stretch of the imagination, but neither do the Cardinals. So I'm going to go Rams.
I'm going to go Rams too. It's just matchup-wise, this is a good matchup for the Rams. Kyler Murray has been struggling against this defense for a while now, and the Cardinals don't look good. Neither of these teams look good, but the Rams defense, I think, looks a little bit better than the Cardinals.
Right.
So I'll give it to the Rams.
Chargers at Niners. Man, this is tough. I think just because the Niners are healthy and the Chargers are not, and it's at San Fran, I'm going to go Niners here.
I'm actually going to go Chargers. I think that the Chargers will struggle. They give up a lot of yards rushing. They'll struggle stopping San Francisco. But I think Justin Herbert's going to be able to make enough plays to keep him in the game, first. But then I think they'll find a way to win it with a few defensive plays here and there.
Then Commanders at Eagles. I'm going to go Eagles here. The Commanders have been put on an impressive run, but Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going to go Eagles as well. Primetime game. They'll be ready to go in division. Going to be ready to go.
Division. Oh yeah. Mark, this was a solid episode. I appreciate you being as well connected as you are, so that we can bring on guys like Kalil and Troy onto this podcast of ours. It's always a good time. I'm excited for this next week here. Really like some of these matchups. I think they should be entertaining. I'm actually going to be home in Michigan this week, so maybe I'll be able to catch a couple of these games with my family for the first time this season as well. Should be a good time. Should come over for a beer for that 9:30 game.
Maybe we're able to do an in-person episode.
That would be nice. Yeah,
if you're
definitely.
Around, I don't know. Cool.
Yeah, I'm running all over the place, but hopefully I could work something like that out. And if not, definitely in December.
That'd be cool to see us two in the same room. People are gonna be thrown off.
Definitely.
And the idea of us doing a podcast together, John, though, where like either of us can reach out anytime and like hit each other. And, because we give each other a lot of crap the whole episode. But
there's a lot more volatility involved there, too. And, don't forget I saw you just look at the chat. Don't forget to send your picks in. So
every week I forget to send my picks to John. And then we're like, oh, like, shit, who did I pick? Every single week. But yeah, this was a good episode. We'll wrap it up, and this was an awesome episode. This is one of our best ones yet, I think, John, and I'm excited for us moving forward. Keep doing what we're doing. Hope everyone's
Absolutely.
liking it.
And if you're new, social links down there, go check us out. See the highlight reels we're posting. See the commentary on Sundays when we're, roasting bad teams like the Broncos.
Always entertaining, man. Check us out. Social media.
Absolutely.
Share us
Until
around.
next time.
See you guys.
Peace.